wanted this, we talked a little bit, you and me, about this a while back, about the patch technology and how long. I know that the U.S. government contracted you in 2004, but for them to contract you, you had to be doing some research even before that on the patch technology. How long have you really been working on this type of technology? When did you start?
Yeah, this was around the late 90s, around 97, 98. I had owned a company with 5 other guys in Georgia. We were up in the mountains of Dahlonega, Georgia. We had our lab. That's the site of the gold rush, ironically.
Yeah.
And we were developing survival equipment for the U.S. Navy. We worked with government contractors. So we worked with companies like Newport News Shipbuilding in Virginia. We worked with General Dynamics, Electric Boat, Raytheon, GE. And basically, I was looking at new methods of generating power, new methods of generating oxygen. I came up with a number of patents on hydrogen production. And then I developed a technology that wasn't supposed to exist, wasn't supposed to be possible. And I was invited, I had made a few people upset about some of the claims that I made, and they invited me into a lab to give a presentation, and they had said, well, there's going to be 2 or 3 people there, and there ended up being over 30 people there. And they wanted to just prove me wrong and get me out of the building. So the technology that the Navy was using at the time on the sub was 60% efficient, and it had all these problems. And my technology was 99.99% efficient. So I got invited to be part of a design team for a mini sub. And back then, that was pretty state-of-the-art. It was a mini sub that was attaching to the Virginia class sub, and the crew were Navy SEALs. So the objective was to see, since the SEALs were going on missions that were 30, 60 hours in length, what can we do to improve their survivability? So I went into this trying to think about how to get them off of caffeine and amphetamines so they could have more energy. It took about 3 years to develop the technology, and then in 2001, 2002, I was starting to give presentations on the LifeWave patch technology to the military. Because of as fate would have it, because of 9/11, they shifted, all towards defense mode, looking at weapons, and so the people that I worked with couldn't get in touch with them. So that's actually how I took the patches into the public, because I didn't want it just sitting around. And the rest is history, as they say.
Wow. Again, since the late 1990s till around 2020 is when the X-39 came out. That is a life calling. You wonder why our technology, which I believe is the best technology, the best product at all in our industry, nothing compares to it, because it's been David's life calling, and it's such a superior product than anything out there. That is why we're having such success with your LifeWave business. Thank you for doing that. Did you were you dreaming to be into the network marketing industry when you first started out?
It's funny. So after I graduated from college, I lived with a good friend of mine, and he said, hey, I'm going to this meeting. Why don't you join me? And I said, what is it? He goes, well, it's something about selling water filters. And so this was for a network marketing business, and they were talking about making money. And I said, well, wait a minute, I don't get it. How are you putting silver into the carbon? I need an explanation. And nobody could answer my question, so I didn't join that company. And that kind of turned me off. And then in 2002, when I started LifeWave, I had to think about how we're going to take the product to market, and networking was the last thing on my mind. I thought, well, let's put it on TV. I was meeting with GNC. They wanted to put it in at retail. Thought about radio advertising, all these kind of things. And then I had lunch one day with a fellow that was a business friend. And he said, there's somebody that you should talk to about LifeWave. I went and spoke with him, and he had bumped into a guy in a movie theater that was interested in investing. Then I talked to him, and he said, I want to invest money. but I don't know anything about science, but I have a friend who's a medical doctor, can we talk to him? And then the medical doctor said, well, I know a doctor in California you should talk to, and then that doctor said, oh, you gotta talk to Richard Quick at Stanford University, the 6-time Olympic coach. And so it became very obvious that networking would be the best way. So three weeks after that lunch, I was putting patches on Olympic swimmers at Stanford.
Through a network.
All because of networking.
Wow.
So I became convinced
Now
that networking was the way to go.
Which is very interesting compared to any other owner in the network marketing industry who go out and sought out to make money, right? He didn't want to be in networking and goes into networking with such a superior product. It's what's happening today. Hey, does X39 basically work on everything?
Depends on what you mean, everything, but by far, it's the most powerful product that we have. Just a very quick background on it. Back in the late 2000s, I was doing what I'm doing today. I'm trying to think about what's going to be relevant 10, 20 years from now. And back in the late 2000s, I was thinking, well, stem cell therapy is going to be very relevant in the future, so we need to start investing in stem cell technology. Over a period of 10 years, we invested over $4 million, generated over 70 patents. We did work with Dr. Glenn Ryan in the US, in vitro lab work on stem cells, on looking to see about if we could regenerate peripheral nerves, which was successful. We worked with Dr. Norm Shealy on doing human studies. We worked with the university in Ireland. That was with a technology called a double helix conductor. We worked with Dr. Tim O'Brien at the National University of Ireland at the Regenerative Medicine Institute. And this is just all to say there was a lot of time and money that was put into trying to develop a new stem cell technology. And the miracle with X39 is that it's able to mobilize and activate the stem cells already in the body. So we don't have to inject them. And in the process, copper peptide resets thousands of genes to a more youthful state. So what that means is, if you're having a healthy diet with proper nutrition, supplementing where necessary, getting proper rest, getting exercise, drinking water, staying away from those things that you know are harmful, X39 is going to take your body to the next level.
Yeah, next level.
You know how Gene and myself and our friends like to keep things simple. Like you talk to us about these doctors and these institutes and everything, and I'm nodding my head like I know who they are. Okay? But the fact that you know and you've done that kind of research is giving us all that kind of confidence.
Yeah.
So every time you say that, I'm like, oh my God, look what we got our hands on. I don't tell anyone because you want to complicate it when you talk to somebody. But the fact that you have done that kind of research gives us the confidence that we've got the best product in the industry that we've ever seen. Okay?
We're pushing now, we're coming up on 90 studies. I think we're over 90 studies now. But we usually just say, we're over 80 studies that we've done over the past 20 years. And it's really important for us to be a science-based company, that we have clinical studies that support safety and efficacy. And when we do these studies, we're always learning more about the products, and that helps us develop new products and explore new areas. So it's really important. On the note of simplicity, you wouldn't know this, but you know that Meredith and I and Janine, we came in. We had been in Utah, and last week I was in Utah. We were doing a project, and there was a fellow that was in our office who is 94, 95, right around there. I mentioned his name. You might know who he is. I think he's a friend of Lifeway. And he was having some problems with his arm. He had some shoulder pain from an accident he had been in. And he was very skeptical about the patches. So I put X39 on the back of the neck, and I put the Eon patch down along on his wrist along the line of pain, and he got 40% pain relief just like that.
Yeah.
So it's so simple. 2 o'clock.
Question. I know we have a bunch of all the other patches that we have, as well as the X39. I know you've told me this on the X39, but when it comes to all other patches, keeping it simple, can you basically put a patch, any one of the other patches on your body anywhere, and it'll start affecting you?
Yeah, when we do the clinical studies, we'll do typically each patch separately, but sometimes we'll combine patches in a study. But for example, when you're placing X39 either behind the back of the neck or below the belly button, it's going to have a systemic effect. We have had people that have applied the patch at the site of an injury, such as down at their knee, on their shoulder, and that's totally fine. With stem cells, one of the important things to remember, and this was discovered at Sanford Burnham in La Jolla, California, by Dr. Evan Snyder. And I had the privilege of meeting with him. He's a very prominent stem cell scientist. And what Dr. Snyder had discovered is that it's inflammatory cytokines at the injury site that stem cells are attracted to. So some of you may have had injuries for quite a long time and you're not healing and you're wondering why. It's because your body is not managing inflammation properly. The stem cells get to the injury site, but then they die off from this inflammation. So this is one of the reasons why it's so important as we age to manage the inflammatory process, because it can inhibit healing. So with our patches, it can be as simple as X39 on the back of the neck, and then the glutathione patch or the Eon patch at the point of pain. That's going to reduce the inflammation, and that's going to help the body heal.
Pretty much any of our patches we could put anywhere. If we haven't know exactly where, if we got a pain somewhere, you just stick it anywhere and it'll start being effective.
Yeah, absolutely. In our studies, we'll apply them behind the neck and below the belly button, but in real life, people will apply them pretty much anywhere. We've had people put carnosine patches in an eye mask and get better vision by putting them over their eyes. So we've had people experiment. There are nerves, this is called auricular therapy, that lead from the ear throughout the body. And sometimes, just for fun, when I'm patching someone, they'll say, well, I have a sore back. And I could put a patch on the pain, but I'll think, all right, let me pinch their ear, okay? If it's a guy. My wife would be very upset if I did that. I pinched around the ear and I said, okay, there's the point right there. I'll patch that, and then the back pain goes away. So sometimes you can be really creative and have some fun with this.
That's interesting, keeping it simple. So you basically can put any patch anywhere, stick it, and it works.
Yes!
Any questions?
Yes!
Okay, David, 2 years ago on our team convention stage, you told me no one was even close to replicating the X39 technology. Where do we stand today? Has anyone come close, or do we still have something truly untouchable in our hands?
No one's ever duplicated it. I don't think anyone ever will. So, yeah, if you knew the process for making the patches, then of course it would be a little bit more clear. When we're doing patents, I always think about how can we get the best protection, and you have to build in some trade secrets. So there's a certain amount of information that you disclose, and then definitely a certain amount of information you don't disclose, because you keep that as a trade secret so people can't reverse engineer. And that's what we've done with the patches and many other of the other inventions. So yeah, I don't, in 20 years, more than 20 years now, no one's ever reverse engineered them, so I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Woo!
Yeah.
Woo!
We don't even know where they're made. And we're in the business. Think about our competitors, right? Okay, so we already answered this one. We can keep up with the X39. When he talks about patents, I think about that this is a team. I just was thinking about this. Like, he pops out patents like we pop out SPDs. Oh, that's actually a very good combination.
Yeah.
Right? We're out passion, he's making them, and we all are winning together.
Steve, it's really worth talking about that just for a minute, going off script again, sorry. Is that when one of the things, the network marketing industry, we should start there, is having a real problem today because the business model that most other companies were working with was to find a juice or vitamin or something like that and then go to market with it. And honestly, I'm not knocking those companies. And back in the day, that business model was fine. But we're seeing this enormous change now in the economy, and people can just go online and order things from Amazon or wherever. And so the only real meaningful way to protect a business is to invent something, develop it, put it into manufacturing, do studies, do the regulatory, and then when you're taking it to market, you have 20 years of security, knowing that your product is not going to get knocked off. So LifeWave established that model back in 2002, and we've maintained that model since the day we opened. And so that's why we're going to continue to have a strategic advantage in the marketplace. Stuart Johnson, who runs the DSN, has told me that right now, other companies in the industry are trying to figure out how to duplicate what LifeWave has done because they see this is the way of the future and they just don't even know where to get started.
You think anyone's going to catch us? All right. Tell us a little bit about your faith and how it inspires you to come up with these new inventions.
Yeah! Woo!
So, I've been a Christian since I was born, and then in my teens, I went to a Bible study. So my faith has been very important to me throughout my life. And I used to think that, I would get these ideas and invent, and I realized, that's not what was happening at all. I would be going into prayer, and this information would be downloaded. So I like to think about it as giving God all the credit for the success that I've had. And I honestly don't want to take credit for these inventions, and because I do feel as if they're divinely inspired. And this has, a really funny thing is that when we think of the Holy Bible, we think of that as being a book to learn from and to illuminate humanity. And actually, the Bible is meant to divide. And the Bible is designed that when you read it, when someone that's not of faith reads it, they can be very confused and think, well, these are really odd stories. I have no idea what this is about. The truth is, though, if you give over your heart to God, and you read through the Bible and do a diligent study, there'll be secrets that will open up, and you'll start to understand the true meaning of the words and the teachings in this book. So I'll give you one example. I'll share this. This is something actually last week that I got a divine insight on.
Woo.
And I was meditating on this, and this is where Jesus is talking about, and it depends on whether or not I always read the King James Version, so it depends on which version you're reading. Jesus says, well, if your eye be single, then your whole body will be filled with light. And there are many ways that people interpret that. And I tend, when I look at if Jesus is speaking, or there's an angel speaking, or the Lord is speaking, I want to take each word literally and look at whether or not it's in Hebrew or Greek and convert that over into numerical codes, see if I can understand what's really going on. And here's something that's absolutely incredible that I just looked at last week. I said, okay, I want to see how many times the word I appears in the Bible, and then I want to convert that over into Hebrew and Greek, and then I want to get a number out of that. Long story short, it converts to a wavelength of light at 660 nanometers. Now, if you go online and look, 660 nanometers is used to upregulate mitochondrial function, but it's the one wavelength of light that improves the health of the eyes. So, as the Bible was divinely inspired, it is truly the Word of God. And we should not take away or add one single word, because that will change the numerical codes in the Bible.
Okay, we were discussing backstage that you've got a program that you're implementing that you want to really, Meredith had a long talk with us this morning. LifeWave is really a legacy company, and we're moving more and more towards a more stronger process of being able to pass it on for generations. Can you tell everyone what you're working on? And I really wanted to, this is a team. I mean, I think you only mentioned it to the elite so far, but let them know what you're working toward, because I believe that would really, it gives you an inspiration that your efforts are going to go on for generations.
Yeah, there's an insane amount of work that we're doing behind the scenes in every facet of the company. First, with regards to LifeWave itself, our foundation, which is based on health, longevity, improving quality of life for people, our ultimate goal is to stop and reverse human aging. And so we continue to look at biological models that don't age, that have incredibly long lifespans, so we can learn and see how we can apply this in technology. So, of course, we're just releasing X2O, which is another step that we have in that direction. And I think it's fair to say we're looking at a number of novel products. One of them, we just got a patent on. Another one I filed recently. So we'll easily break through 250 patents by next year, easily. But what we're looking at is basically these new frontiers in biophysics for energy transfer within the cell, these novel mechanisms. But essentially, what these will allow is improved energy production in the cell, better regulation over the inflammatory process, oxidative process in the body, and ultimately, the step that is here today in the lab is being able to target specific tissue in the body and regenerate it. So, for example, let's use the example of the eyes. We're at a place today where we have a technology where we can charge very specific nutrients with light and then deliver that light anywhere into the body where it's needed. So if we needed to regenerate the frontal lobes, if we needed to regenerate the eyes, the liver, the kidneys, you could take a supplement that's charged with light, and that light gets released into that part of the body where you need it, triggering regeneration. So this will set off years and years of new products in our product line in LifeWave. So that's one of the directions we're going. So I suppose, if we're not aging and we're living longer, then we have to probably have some things to do to keep our interest. So we started this drone project. We unveiled it 3 years ago. We're into it over 4 years now. And this month we open our drone manufacturing facility in Denmark. Denmark has the largest drone testing center in all of Europe. We have a 6,000-foot runway, and we have 18,000 square kilometers of airspace that we can fly our 15-foot aircraft. And we'll be using this for search and rescue missions, among other things, and it's going to open up some really incredible opportunities for LifeWave. And then in the not too distant future, let's say within about 5 years, depending on regulatory, we'll be going to market with our power generation system. And this power generation system has 1/5 of the carbon emissions of an automobile engine and is less polluting than an electric vehicle. And it's less polluting than solar panels or wind. And one of the demonstrations that we're going to do for you and Gina and the team when you're over in Denmark is we'll turn on this power generator. We put fuel into it, turn it on, We can operate it in a room that's completely closed, and there's no black smoke, no white smoke, and the air coming out of the engine is cleaner than the surrounding air. The plan is we want to build our network around this opportunity. So the idea is we want to protect the planet, clean it up, have businesses and technologies be sustainable, have technologies that contribute to the solutions that we have now. You know, we're facing some horrible problems on our planet, and I think all of these problems are solvable. We just need to get the technologies out there, and we certainly want to do that within 5 years and absolutely put that through the network.
So what you're saying is that with all these innovations that are coming out, we're going to be able to, LifeWave wants to set us up by making sure that we can pass our businesses on to our kids, our kids' kids, our kids' kids, but you're working toward that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so I have 4 kids, and I think about what kind of future are they going to have. And so the type of things I think about is we're in such an incredible place today, and we have the opportunity now to make real change in the world and leave our kids, our families, a better planet than the way that it is today. When we think about what we're doing with LifeWave as it is today, not even in the future, the technologies we have all work with light. We're stimulating the skin with light, and we've all seen miracles occur because of this. Well, what's going to happen when we have tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people that are using H2O and their bodies are now filled with light? What impact will that have on the world? And I think that we can start to create a real change, a real shift in human consciousness when we bring these products to market and bring these new technologies to market, and you know, maybe we can even have a little bit more peace in the world. Say what?
Okay, so while other network marketing companies are trying to sell off, they're stopping their direct sales division, or they're going on with affiliates where you only get paid maybe the first level or the second level, you've been telling us that, hey, I've got my feet in the sand, I am sticking with the direct sales model, the network marketing model. Is that your philosophy? Just, we want to hear this, that this is a team that's like that. Because, you know, these people are talking to other people that maybe that happened to them, but you know what? From what your track record has shown us over 20 years, and what you've been doing with us since we all started, we got confidence in you, and I think by you saying that, you can understand, people can have more confidence when they're talking to someone that might even have that kind of question. So let us know the future and how you stand in direct sales.
Yeah, you know, the network marketing industry is about to go through the biggest growth that it ever has in its history. And the reason why I say that, and so companies that are dropping out now are making a massive mistake. So I'll give you an example, because this is something that happened to a friend of mine. My roommate from college, who I hope you never meet. He and I have been friends now for over 40 years, 44 years, something like that. And he was working as an intern at IBM, programming computers. We were both computer majors. And then when he graduated, he went to work for IBM, so that was the only job that he ever knew. And about a year ago, his job was replaced by artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And so I spoke with him, you know, it's like, God, I can't believe it. I'm a few years away from retirement. Now what am I going to do? So I said, Matt, come and work with me. We've got this drone project. I need somebody that knows computers to do this. And he said, all right, great. And he's been really happy. So there were 6,000 people that were in that layoff. And that's just the beginning. So we're going to continue to see, as artificial intelligence improves, and we're pretty much there, that most companies are thinking about this as a tool to reduce human overhead, reduce the number of people that work there, and increase profitability. And I think this is a massive mistake. there's a book entitled Everything I Learned in Life, I Learned from Watching Star Trek. And there's a Star Trek episode about this, which I know we don't have time for, but there is the original series, Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, go ahead and see it, The Ultimate Computer. But anyway, there's a Star Trek episode about this, and I think that lesson from the 1960s applies today. So we should be using these tools to improve efficiency, to improve our end-up work product, but we don't want to end up working for machines. So most companies, though, are definitely not going to be looking at it this way, and they'll go through a lot of layoffs. And now, even if people are getting subsidized by the government, most people need a purpose in life, and they're going to need to turn to the one industry that's going to be safe, because human beings will always buy from human beings. And that's why our industry is going to go through massive growth. As these layoffs occur from AI, people will need a home, and we'll have a home ready for them.
Oh my goodness. If you did not hear that, oh my goodness.
Okay, we're coming in and we're getting ready to, we're just waiting for this new launch because we're on anticipation